Lilac Kitty has all types of Reddit stories that will make you think, cry and laugh. Only real stories.
Nsister reaching out to communicate bad news. Nsister called last night to tell me my stepdad was seriously ill. She refused to tell me where he was, what was wrong with him, what the prognosis was, etc. When I said I knew he wasn't great, she got really angry and demanded to know where I had got the scant information I already had. I do know he's in hospital, but I've been asked to keep the source of that information confidential to avoid backlash. She demanded to know if I wanted to go and see my stepdad, so that she could ask his permission for me to go up, because he hasn't spoken to me in about 5 years, after telling me to fuck off for unrelated reasons. I got really angry when she started messing around with the information. I can't tell you this or that. I lost my temper and yelled at her, just tell me, stop messing about, etc. She started banging on about my soul, my humanity, etc. This is a tactic she frequently uses, trying to say that her way is the moral way, and what you're doing is bad, wrong, selfish, etc. She said I was accountable to her, but not vice versa. I lost it, I admit. I told her exactly what I thought of her. My thinking is it is wrong to make resolutions over a sick bed. If he dies, I'll make my peace when we are asked to say goodbye. If he doesn't, and he reaches out, I'm happy to talk. But I am not going to rock up to a guy under sedation and try to patch up a relationship that wasn't important enough for either of us to work on over the last half-decade. I guess this is part aita, validation seeking, support seeking. I'm so sad, so angry. I've had another night of what the narc thinks is wrong with me, and I shouldn't have reacted with anger, but I did. I've been VLC for that side of the family for over a decade. I wish I'd never given my sister an avenue back into my life, but I did. And now, I'm all muddled. Am I horrible? Should I have gotten over it by now? Am I supposed to forgive with no apology and just go back into that environment? Surely not. Surely I count enough that I'm allowed to put my needs over theirs? I'm 37. Will I ever be free? I called my parent, who is aware of the abuse but, and explained that the problem is no one was properly incentivized. She isn't incentivized not to lash out at me because she doesn't need anything from me, and no one is incentivized to tell her to behave because she's not taking it out on them. So I have to change the balance of incentives. I told them that if I was at the receiving end of that abuse again, I'd contact the police and let them know about her sister dealing. They immediately said they'd talk to her and emphasize that she should leave me alone. And do you know what, guys? It may not be moral. It may not be right. I may have sunk to her level. But I feel fucking amazing. After 30-odd years, my happiness was suddenly the priority. My narc physically abused me in front of my children. I left my narc ex 2 months ago. He was physically and mentally abusive, as most narcissists are. He physically abused me in front of my children. We have 2 under the age of 10. My ex had nothing to do with our kids when I left. I was always open to him visiting the kids and maintaining a relationship with them, possibly rebuilding ours, but I wouldn't allow him to take the children off the property. I knew that he didn't have to bring them back if I let him leave with them. And I knew he wouldn't bring them back. Under those rules, he refused to see them. I was concerned about my children and the affect what they saw had on them, so I put them in therapy. I attempted to do this through EAP at work, but they didn't deal with kids as young as mine. They did let me know they had to call Cass, as the kids had witnessed the abuse. Cass came and interviewed me and the kids and did their inspection. The kids talked about the abuse they had witnessed. Cass advised me to report this abuse to police. Which I did. The police saw fit to charge my ex. There is now a no-contact order. Through this, I was able to access victim services and get the kids into therapy much faster than just being put on a wait list. I recently found out my ex and his close friend, a woman he is sleeping with, think that I left him high and dry, dragging out our separation. I'm not sure how to even drag out a separation. Lawyers are involved, we can only move as fast as they do, and keeping his kids from him for 2 months.
I called Cass to start shit, and when that didn't work, I had him charged.
I did not have him charged. I gave a statement, they took statements from Cass as well as the kids' daycare, which the kids told about the abuse and decided to charge him. Am I in the wrong here? I honestly just escaped an increasing abusive situation and did what was advised to do. I'm being asked why I feel this is my fault, so I'll elaborate a bit. We have a mutual friend whom my ex and his mistress are trying to convince not to hang around me anymore because I'm evil for doing this to him. They are also telling me that he hit me, not the kids, and therefore is still a good father and should have his kids 50-50. I absolutely refuse to allow him to have 50-50.
My perfect boyfriend is a sociopath. 24F here. Dating a 27M. It started out perfectly. We were introduced through a mutual friend. He was funny, charming, handsome, great socially, never put me down. Great with animals and old people. He brought me coffee to work for the first 6 months. Never shady. Doesn't text other women and doesn't hide his habits. Invites me out and tries to keep me involved. The only downside is that he lies, casually, to everyone. Nothing in particular, just small stuff he doesn't get called out on. Everyone likes him. Last week I went over to his place to get tickets to an arena football game. I didn't mean to snoop, but he put them on the cabinet in the dining room and I accidentally kicked a chair over on my way to it. It broke and collapsed against the sideboard and the door swung wide open. Inside the cabinet was a stack of VHS tapes and cassettes. Everyone had a name written on it. Women's names. I assume I found his private conquest stash but didn't have the guts to put in any of the tapes. I grabbed the tickets, fixed the chair, and ran. That night, he said, "Did you break my chair?" Not did my chair break, or what happened to the chair, or anything like that. Straight up, point blank, "Did you break my chair?" I told him I did. He didn't seem too angry. The night went on as planned. Ever since, he seemed sketchy as hell. He won't call, he won't text when he says he will, he won't kiss me on the lips. He knows I found them, I'm sure of it. He smells like other women now and I'm sure I'm not just being paranoid. I sat him down and asked him yesterday if he was cheating on me. He started to laugh, incredulous at first, so I almost believed him. Then he just started laughing harder, like it was some big joke, and I had no idea how to react. I just left. He called me to apologize, but I hung up on him. We've been together 2 years. Those videos were seriously in the hundreds. Several of them was labeled with a date within the last 6 months. How could I have not seen this happening? I found So's conquests on VHS tapes in his house in the hundreds. He refuses to talk about it. Should I leave or bother with a fact check? He called me and left me the creepiest 5-minute message I have ever listened to. He talked a lot to himself in the background and he was breathing really shallow and heavy. He sounded frustrated and kind of angry. He said he'd be right over and I texted him telling him not to bother since I'm not even home. I'm getting more creeped out. Maybe I do need to go back and at least go through the tapes. He leaves for work soon.